All right, that's 5 seconds.
Okay.
Orale. What's up, homies? Welcome to the Chino and Homeboy podcast. This is part 2 from the last podcast that we started. And then I don't know exactly where I'm going to post this. Probably Monday or Wednesday. We'll call it Wicked Wednesdays, right? Wicked Wednesdays?
Wicked Wednesdays, that's right.
I'm down with that.
Right. Last time we were talking about freelance work, and Hank Jones had to make a dramatic decision.
Yeah, a very tough one.
Yeah, very tough one. That's right. Oh, here's the problem with calling this one a part 2, though.
What's the problem?
This is going to come like on Wednesday, the whole COVID ivermectin thing, you know.
It'll still be a hot topic. It'll
All
still
right.
be a hot topic.
All right. It's Wednesday. I don't know what I'm talking about.
By Wednesday, the mandates might be in place. And
That's
there might be riots outside.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. There might be. Shit. There might be. So, yeah, we're pre-recording this for shits and giggles and testing shit because, you know, y'all motherfuckers seem to be fucking picky as shit.
They're finicky. That's the term.
Right?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Finicky,
like, we get 50,
fickle.
right? We get 50 views and y'all motherfuckers just watch like 2.5 minutes and be like, I'm out. Like, put it in your background, bitch. You used to watch Joe Rogan's YouTube channel till like, you know, 5 a.m. and shit. We're working time.
We're what? A couple minutes into part 2, just burp and do a dick joke and we're done.
I know, right? I know. That's it. I'm working on the burp. I'm drinking water.
All right, yeah. I'm gonna try to come up with a dick joke.
All right.
I'm gonna practice my spontaneity. You know, my stand up.
Right.
So
what do we what?
So we're gonna be late on this, but it's 9/11 weekend.
That's right.
Yes.
And so in honor of 9/11, we're gonna share what we were actually doing on 9/11. I'll go first because mine is probably the most benign, and y'all's two are probably the more exciting. I know Sabino's.
This is the reason why I told you we should have done 9/11 first and put all the other stuff at the end.
I thought we were going for the mega size episode. So
oh yeah, I know.
I did not expect the freelance thing to take a fucking hour.
Oh yeah, I know. Right?
You know what? I'm glad it did though, because I was stimulated by that conversation. I really was.
Okay. It's accomplished.
Well, you know what? As we do on the Chino and Homeboy podcast, we just make our own goddamn rules. And you know what? I'm posting this shit first. That freelance one where we talk about like, hey, stay tuned to part 2.
All right, so this is part 1.
We're going into the turnstile.
We're going to turnstile. Oh, by the way, I've watched that movie 3 more times this week.
Oh man, dude, you're obsessed, man.
I finally feel that I have a full understanding of everything that happens in that movie.
God damn it, man. Christopher Nolan, come on now.
Right? I know. That's how you do.
The movie ends before it ever starts.
What's that?
God damn it, Chris Nolan.
The movie ends before it ever starts.
Yes, that is correct.
Which is,
I mean, if that's not, it's just, you know, it boggles my mind how Chris Nolan comes up with his shit. You know what I mean? Like even that, like the whole movie ends before it even begins. That's like Tenet to a fucking T. That's like, that's on brand with Tenet. It's like, it's brilliant. You know what I mean?
Because the opera scene where we start is happening simultaneously as a hypercenter battle, right? So basically, we watch the movie to its halfway point, or the mission, right, to its halfway point, and then everything we're doing now is going backwards to the beginning of that movie. To the
God
beginning.
damn it! Look, I
What?
gotta hold on. I gotta interrupt because hold on.
There's more. But the white chick goes back even further before anything we've seen to kill the husband.
Right. Well,
So
okay, so
died before the movie ever started, and we're just watching it all happen.
Right. Well, okay, so I want to interrupt
we're
really
never
quickly.
getting to 9/11.
No, plus this. Let's show. But I have a video that's about 3 to 5 minutes that explains everything better. It just explains the turnstile thing better to where once you see that, you'll understand the movie better. And it also deals with the fact that everything in time happens all at once.
All right. Well, we're gonna watch those 5 minutes at the end of this episode.
Okay. Right. Hold on. So, the reason why I wanted to interrupt is because of that last point that Hey Jones just said. Like it's all happening simultaneously, right? And so I was scrolling through Facebook. I think it was yesterday, or maybe been this morning, when I was getting ready for work, and I saw this post where it was saying, time isn't linear. Time is actually happening simultaneously, like everywhere. Like everything is happening, like the past, the present, the future. It's all happening now.
Yeah.
And and I wanted to save it and actually send it to you guys in the group chat, and I wanted to see what you thought. But then my my brain just clicked and said, you know what? Fuck this hippie shit. So I just scrolled up. So now I wish I would have saved it. So so I could quote the actual tweet, and I'm like, fuck, because like this goes exactly what Hate Jones just said with Tenet. I'm like, God damn it.
I've actually made a Tenet folder in my YouTube account for all the good videos I come across that explain shit.
Right.
He's right. You are obsessed.
When are you gonna make the Excel spreadsheet?
That's the next step.
Yeah,
no.
The next step is an Excel spreadsheet. You'll know he's reached peak obsession when he's doing a TED Talk.
It's called Tenet Talk. No, but what I was gonna say is that this movie has turned out to be one of the easiest watching time travel movies that I've watched. Like between that and Time Crimes are probably the two easiest to watch that actually deal with the true scientific theory.
Man, Time Crimes was legit.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, like when we get to like Terminator and shit, those are like light time travel movies.
Right,
They're like they're very light and they don't really deal with the true theories and complications of it.
Well, you're right. It's complex. So the Terminator movies and all these time travel movies with quote unquote panache, right?
Yeah.
With all the the visual effects and all that stuff. Like that is complicated, and so the reason why Time Crimes works and Tenet works is because of its simplicity.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It takes a very hard topic and makes it really simple and easier. Not the easiest, easier to understand versus when we deal with fucking Terminator and Back to the Future, they kind of dumb down the science or even related to science at all. They're just like, this is how we think time travel would work.
Right.
So the ones that are actually based in science theory or science fact usually are boring or so complicated that it melts your brain. And Tenet seems to be the perfect balance of the two for me.
Right.
That's it though, because you've seen it 5 times. It feels like that's a long.
No, I think he's seen it more times than 5.
I'm probably tipping on 15 to 20 at this point.
hey, but have you seen it? On weed?
No. I did watch part of it slightly drunk off some good mezcal from Mexico that somebody
Yeah,
brought.
but the movie's so long that you sobered up.
That's why I understood it.
I was like third of the way in when my homie showed up with his girl who's actually a scientist. So she actually works in energy and has to deal with what do you call that? Entropy.
Yeah.
So
yes.
when I was telling her about the film, even though she's not a movie buff, she was interested because I was telling her how the entropy worked with because I said reverse entropy and she was like was thrown off by that. And
Negative entropy, yeah. I actually wrote about negentropy on a paper a couple years back. So Chino's not just a pretty face. I'm pretty fucking smart.
Yeah, no, we're gunning for that Nobel Prize in Science.
Yeah, so like
for real.
She never related the entropy part to time. And so I was trying to find a video that deals with Maxwell's demon to kind of send to her for her to like, because I was trying to explain it in very bad terms, trying to explain it to her. And then my homie, he was actually like drunk and tired and sleepy, but he was like, "Nah, I'm digging this. I need to watch this at a later date." But I want to get her, I want to share the science with her about the entropy part. So I found a video about Maxwell's demon that kind of explains it and how it relates to the movie and time. So I can send that to her. And then I found another one that just explained the whole reversing time or going backwards in time and then forward and whatnot throughout the course of the movie, and made without spoiling the movie, it kind of explains that science real well. And I was like, boom, this is the easiest, like the simplest answer to the video, to that part of the movie that I've seen. So I saved both of those in a special folder called Tenet. Because I found videos and diagrams on how the scenes worked and everything else, but I can't find them. You know, I've searched my YouTube history and I'm like, I can't find these specific videos that I watched. So I'm like, when I see something cool like that, I need to save it. So
you know why it's not there? You know why it's not there? Because you went in turnstile. We're back in time. You haven't clicked those buttons.
I figured as much.
I was gonna ask if you could explain Maxwell's demon, but I'm like, you know what? No, because as soon as we get into that, it's no longer a 9/11 episode.
No, seriously. Like if we get into this in this episode, this is gonna be a 6-hour one.
Yeah.
Seriously, because I will
get a Friday episode out of this.
I will go in like negative entropy, thermodynamics. I'm going all in. Like where my weekend at?
All right, so we'll put that on the list for the next episode. All right, so we're going to talk
for this shit
about 9/11. Sad times.
I don't know, man. It feels like the 4th of July all over again.
You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised it hasn't been made a federal holiday by now, but you know.
I was thinking that actually, like, why isn't it? You know,
because the man actually did the shit, and they can't make a holiday on that shit.
Because of what?
Because it was an inside job.
That's we're going tinfoil. All right.
No.
The ski mask is lined with aluminum inside. Okay.
Right on. I can dig it.
Oh man. No, we actually
got shit directly from Dr. Manhattan. Okay.
All right. I feel you. Reality altering powers. I got it. So all right. Where were you guys when 9/11 happened?
Okay. So I had a job interview that morning. So when I woke up, I hopped in the shower, got dressed. When I went to my mom to tell her and I had to catch the bus across LA to the job interview. She was up and she's like, "Man, the Pentagon's on fire." And I was like, "That sounds about right." And I looked at the screen, I saw it on fire. I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then I went on.
FBI's gonna get you, bro.
Yeah. So
NSA.
I hopped.
You're gonna be doing your next podcast from Russia with Edward Snowden.
Yeah.
No, Abu Ghraib. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I don't mean to look. I shouldn't be laughing about that shit because that shit was horrible. I'm sorry for laughing.
So I hopped on transit, taking the train and through LA. And as I'm on the train headed toward downtown LA for a changeover, um, close to about time I got to LA, I'm listening to the radio on my Walkman. And
Right.
Oh shit.
It's
so
2001, bro. There was no iPod back then.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
There's no
look, I had a
iTunes,
disc.
no
I had
Pandora.
a Discman.
No,
I know.
I think around then I may have had I think I'm not for certain. Either I had my CD Discman that also had a radio
Yeah.
attachment on it, or I had my Sony what do you call that shit? Mini disc player that also had a radio. It was
Right.
one
Gotcha.
can't remember which. But then so I'm listening I stopped listening to my own music and turned on the radio once I got toward downtown. And Big Boy on the radio was talking about you know, the I guess one tower had already been hit by it. And
Right.
so it was on fire and whatnot. And then I'm starting to see people get phone calls on some of their cell phones, even though cell phones weren't massively popular at the time.
Right.
Uh,
People
People
still had
start,
pagers and shit.
yeah, I mean, they had like the feature phone, you know what I'm saying, and sidekicks and shit. And
Yeah.
so I saw people take calls and start crying. So it was like I'm on the bus with people who are losing people in the building.
Yeah, and when we
Shit.
say smart, and when we say cell phones, we don't even mean smartphones. We're talking like Motorola flip phone.
Yeah,
No QWERTY board. The QWERTY board for the phone still hadn't been invented yet. You still had to press like 3 buttons to get a letter.
yeah,
Those
Right.
type of cell phones are what we're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, like the Nokias that fucking last forever.
More
Yeah,
phone than computer. Um,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
and so I'm on the bus, and then all of a sudden I hear the report like, oh, this is a terrorist attack, and then the other plane hit, and I was
Yeah,
like, oh, and
Yeah.
then there was word like I guess the other like they shot one plane out of the air, like
Good
two
one.
planes got shot out of
Uh-huh.
the air, crash, right? So they were reporting that one of them was headed toward LA, meaning like that was their original destination. So I'm
yeah.
like, is that shit coming here? And how close to here are they? Because I'm in the
Right.
middle. I'm in the only place for them to hit in LA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I ain't trying to die today.
Yeah, like
yeah, yeah.
I got off the train in front of like Trade Tech, and I'm like, man, I'm around the fucking buildings. If any kind of like, cause like what level of degree is this terrorist attack, right? So like, is it
Right,
just these planes, or do they got other shit planned for other cities, right?
right.
So
Right.
like, I'm in downtown, they could drop a gas bomb down there
Well, no, I mean, yeah, well, that's true. I mean, but
and
no,
wipe it.
they would have aimed for that U.S. bank because it's like the tallest one you got.
I'm just saying, but I'm there, and that's a
Yeah,
problem. I'm
yeah,
saying, I'm
Right.
like, there could be dudes in vans with manure bombs. There could be other planes that are being hijacked at the moment. Like there's a multitude of things now that this is a known terrorist attack. So like that's where my mind went is like, oh shit. But I still got to go to this fucking job interview. You know
right,
what I'm saying?
Got to make
'Cause
that
yeah,
paper.
I'm broke and I need a job.
right,
Right.
And a family member had made the connection or whatever. So it was like a job at a public school. So I wait on my bus and I'm still like nervous as fuck. And now everybody is getting news that what's going on. I get to the school, all the parents are picking up their kids.
right.
I
Yeah.
to the principal office, I'm like, yeah, I had an appointment with the principal at 2. And they look at me stupid, like, nigga, why you here? Like, do you, you know, nigga need work. I'm the fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Like, hold on. What do
Yeah,
you
like the
mean, bro?
Russians. Look, the Russians could be the Russians or the Chinese could be landing like they did in Red Dawn, and Hay Jones would still be like, "Yeah, I'm still here for the interview. Job's still
Yeah.
open, right?"
Yeah.
Well, until one of them parachute motherfuckers come in here and take the job from me, I'm right here.
Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, now I gotta leave. I gotta take the same bus ride back
Right.
And go downtown hours after the attack, not knowing if there's more attacks coming.
Right.
Make my way all the way home. Luckily, nothing happened. I made it home safe. I get home, and then I see like both of the buildings are on fire, and then they crumble, and I saw the other devastation. Now, once again, I've seen your little science documentary, but that
Right.
shit looked like a controlled demolition.
Right.
And it's hard for me to believe otherwise, just based off of how many buildings I've seen being controlled, demolished on TV,
Yeah.
and that, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
like, they built this building to withstand so much. So you're gonna tell me jet fuel just melted all the stuff?
Yes.
I find it hard to believe.
Right. Right.
What about the other buildings that blew up around?
They didn't blow up.
They collapsed. Whatever. Like, what's the explanation for that? Some other key buildings
Semantics.
will not be there after the airplanes hit
Right.
with no, like, the plane didn't fall on them. They just happened to not be there. Like, that's a lot of fishy shit to me, bro.
Well, the reason why those buildings crumbled was because it wasn't a controlled demolition. You see, a controlled demolition only destroys the building it's supposed to destroy. It doesn't destroy any of the surrounding buildings.
But those buildings were part of the plan too.
Of course, you would think that. But
like,
it's not
like
just...
the towers was a distraction, and the other buildings. Well, the shit, you from the military, you know how it works. You know how you blow up something over here while motherfuckers sneak in the back over there. You know that's how y'all run.
All right, listen. This is my question to you, right? This is my question to you. You ready?
Go.
Okay. At any point in time, knowing that America got attacked, did you think about me?
Of course. No, but you weren't in New York, so like.
No, no. Of course, I wasn't in New York, but I was in boot camp at the time.
Yeah, like you can't do nothing until you're done with boot camp.
Yeah.
And I told you to begin with.
What's that?
And I told you not to join to begin with.
No,
so
and you knew that I joined, and you knew that I joined because that's exactly what I knew was going to happen.
Well, no, that's what I
shit.
like.
FBI coming for you too, bro. NSA. Come on.
I told them, I was like, if you didn't vote for George Bush, you shouldn't don't join the military under a president that you didn't vote for, right?
Right.
Because especially in this one, because this nigga wants war. Like I was like, nigga, he gonna start some shit, and this is what I told him. I was like, he gonna start some shit, and you gonna be stuck in it.
Yes, and that is exactly what I was expecting. All right?
George Bush said, George Bush said, who wants the hands?
I wanted to go to war. I joined the Navy for a very specific reason, because I knew that whoever it was we were going to be going to war with didn't have much of a goddamn Navy. And you want to know who I knew we were going to attack? Iraq.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man, homeboy wanted to throw her hands too. Shit.
Hell yeah, shit.
Yeah. Well, that's my. It's just like, well, how can I be so right about this part but so wrong about the other part? That's the part.
About the buildings.
Like I can predict the war coming, but the buildings being what do you call it? What do you call it? A red herring to start the war?
Red flag. It's a red flag.
Yeah, red flag to start the war. That's too much.
Whatchamacallit?
On top of the fact, let's remember, we lied about the weapons of mass destruction to tear down Iraq. On top of that, so like we got a history of lying to the people to start wars.
Right.
You mean weapons of mass distraction?
Yes. Yeah. So we have this history of lying to the people.
Yeah.
Start wars under that administration, but I'm supposed to believe that this incident that started all this shit, they didn't know nothing about in any capacity.
They did.
Actually, they did.
Well, So I'm like, either it's a controlled demolition thing,
right?
or they knew about it and they allowed it to happen, which is both fucked up.
Well, let me tell you, it's
actually the inside job.
No, it is the latter where they knew about it, but they just didn't act on the intelligence.
Yes.
Because the U.S. government does what it always does, and that is, let's just ignore it and hope it doesn't happen. And then when it happens, it's like, oh, you mean they were serious? That happens a lot. Like, a lot. Like, you have no idea how often that shit fucking happens. That happens, like, a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Because here's the thing.
When it happens that much, it doesn't sound like it's not on accident.
It is on accident. It happens a lot on accident. Let me tell you. I'll explain it. I'll explain it this way. You can't possibly. No. Hold up. Here's the thing. The government, right, is run by people, right? And I'm not going to say that they're completely incompetent, but there's a lot of incompetence in the government. There's no way that the U.S. government can pull off such a intricate conspiracy theory, such an intricate conspiracy, without one, someone not saying shit, or two, that shit accidentally just getting the fuck out. Because the Clinton administration knew that there was an attack that was imminent on the United States. They just didn't do shit about it. They passed it along to George Bush, and then George Bush was like, you know what? We're planning to attack Iraq, so fuck the terrorists in Afghanistan. What? They're living in mud huts. What are they going to do with us? What are they going to do to us? They can't do shit.
Right.
Why is Hate Jones leaning so much?
Because I'm grabbing some water.
Oh.
All right, so Homeboy,
I see him gangster leaning left and right.
So you were in boot camp.
Drinking this 100-degree water.
Yeah, I was in boot camp, man. I was getting my teeth worked on, and the news of the day was Michael Jordan was retiring, and a plane hit a building in New York. Like that was all of the news I got. And I had already known that a Cessna had tried running into like the Empire State Building or some other building like that. So I thought that some fool tried to do the same exact thing, where they tried running a Cessna, flying a Cessna into another building. I'm like, well, that's not gonna do jack shit. It wasn't until, and I was in service week, right? So I had already been in boot camp for 6 weeks or some shit like that.
So you were cranking.
Yeah, well, kind of. I mean, I got lucky, and I was in the barracks all day trying to make the damn flag. The divisional flag. Yeah. But that's because I had dental appointments and all that kind of shit. So it was a lot easier for me to go to those dental appointments and do all that cranking. Yeah. I was a pretty old person in terms of military shit at the time. And we didn't find out what had actually happened until like a lot later that day, when the division commanders showed us the actual news, like on TV, like those TVs that no one ever watches because I mean, they're just there for no reason. Well, they were there for a reason that day. And right, and so we see the Twin Towers just fucking collapse, and we're like, did they use like airliners? Yeah. And so the division commanders were like, yeah. And everyone's first question was, does this mean that our families aren't going to be able to fly in and watch us graduate?
Yep. Pretty much.
Everyone was concerned. And my ass was like, hold up. We're going to war? Fuck yeah. Because I'm crazy. All right. Man, I never seen so many grown men cry talking about like, hey, I don't want to go to war. I didn't join the Navy to go to war. I joined for the college money. And I'm like, listen, they just attacked our buildings with hijacked commercial jets. Go. Yeah, exactly, right? Hijacked commercial jets. Do you really think that we're going to see a World War II battle? No, we're not. We're not. This is we're gonna be fighting people in mud huts and make all the same mistakes that we made in Vietnam. That's what we're gonna
do. Well, you guys have actually more. I don't want to say exciting, but your circumstances when 9/11 happened are far more interesting than mine. I was in high school, and I was actually waiting for the bus at my cousin's house, who happened to live next door. So what we usually do is as we're waiting for the bus, we're waiting inside his house, and we were watching TV. And usually I think it was like Different Strokes that was on, but this particular day, because of the attack, the news was on, and the first tower that got hit was, it was smoldering, it was smoking. And I was waiting for the bus when it happened. I didn't actually see the planes crash until way after school. And so,
what state were you in?
I was in Texas at the time. So yeah, it was just I was in high school. I was waiting for the bus. Didn't learn more until after I got home. And so, I mean, that was it. I was like, it's, I personally felt the slight fear, well, not fear, but I definitely had some trepidations, because it's like, hold on, they were able to do this shit. What else can they do? You know what I mean? So it was just, that was it. I was just in high school, and I got shaken a little bit, because like, this shit doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my story. That's it. I was just in high school.
I've never been on that "this doesn't happen" shit. Like, being a black man in America, everything happens.
Right.
And so, like, I remember I kind of like predicted, or at least came up with the concept of what they did.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot, it was some kind of hostage situation, and the guys just blew up the plane with them on it.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's stupid. Like, one, you killed yourself, and in the process. But I'm like, you're in a plane. That plane is a giant bomb. You just fly that shit into something. And years later, that's exactly what fucking happened.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, it's not hard science. It's like, why weren't y'all doing that shit, in the 80s? Because they would get the planes, but then they would just like keep them on the ground. I'm like, get in the air and do your thing. If you're looking for collateral damage. But I'm kind of like, what do you call it? Kind of cold-hearted, I guess, to terrorism.
Right.
Like, because I understand that it's going to happen, even like with Timothy McVeigh. I'm like, y'all probably could have stopped him too and didn't. But, y'all don't pull over white dudes in suspicious vans filled with cow manure bombs and ask them like, hey, you just sped past this stop sign too slow. Can I see your ID? You step out the car?
Right.
That just happens to me.
Not to Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's just, to me, when that shit was happening, it was just because I was still in high school, and I actually don't remember a lot of events that happened during that time of my life, because I've blocked it out. Not to I don't want to talk about it too much in the pod, but that part of my life, I had a lot of trauma. So I have a lot of I guess repressed memories. I don't remember a lot of stuff that happened during that time. At least, not ones that were directly affecting my life or significant in my life. And so I remember the attacks happening, but as far as like, a lot of other stuff, I've blocked it out. So yeah.
Understood.
I remember where I was, but that's pretty much it. Like, I don't remember the conversations that I had with classmates and friends. I don't remember what my parents were fucking thinking. I didn't even talk to them at that point. So it was like, yeah, it's things are hazy, but I do remember where I was when it happened. So
Yeah,
yeah,
there was more interesting things that happened post 9/11 than during 9/11.
right.
So like, it was a whole there's this feeling of unison with white people, but it was in the unification of we don't like them niggas,
Right.
which
Yeah.
I'm like totally not with.
Uh-huh.
And I had two incidences of that. One, I was on the bus and I got out of school from college, and my bus driver happened to be a Sikh.
Gotcha.
And at the time, I didn't know the difference. But
Mm-hmm.
he worked for the bus company. He had a turban on that matches the bus uniform, which looked hella fresh.
Hell yeah.
The long white beard. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so the doors open up, and I usually let everybody get on, and I'll get on last. So I'm like a tall person, so I can like see over everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll get on last, and I have a big backpack, usually full of art equipment.
Oh shit.
And so like, soon as the door opened, he looked angry as fuck. And then the ladies in the front of the bus was like, "Oh shit, I'll catch the next one," and just got out of line.
Damn.
And
What?
then yeah,
That's
yeah.
yeah, that's fucked up.
Then as people are getting on, my people, putting money, you ain't got nothing in there, do you? You ain't got no bombs on this bus. Like just fucking with them.
Like,
You
why
know,
why is
like
that
some
backpack so big? Why are you
yes,
praying right now?
yeah. Some people were honestly like scared enough to like I ain't getting on that bus, and then other people were like bold enough to like joke with him and fuck with him while he's
Mm.
driving. Man, I got on this
Shit.
bus, the doors closed. This man hit the gas like every stop, full gas, heavy brake, full gas, heavy brake. I'm like, man, I'm glad I only need to go like 2 miles up the road
My man was heated.
to the train station. He was going so fast he missed the stop. Like, somebody's like, hey, you missed my stop. I don't give a fuck. Just kept going. Like, because he was gunning,
Yeah.
like he's doing 60, probably 60 miles on the street.
Damn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Well, you know
saying?
what? We laugh about, we laugh about that shit now, but like um putting myself in that position, I mean, it's, like, it's okay. Like, I don't even have to go that far, actually. It's like, it's just, it's easy to say that it's messed up that that happened to that bus driver,
Yeah.
but the thing is, that's what happens when people are ignorant. Like, if I was in that position, I probably would have thought the same way. I'm like, because I, like you, hey Jones, at the time, I didn't fucking know what the difference was,
Yeah.
and so, like, it would have, I mean, it would have put trepidation in me, and so, like, I totally understand, even though it's fucked up and ignorant, that kind of shit would
Well,
happen.
well, for me, I didn't have any trepidations, right? So like
Mhm.
I at the minimum understand why terrorists have beef with the United States,
Mhm.
right? But we do fuck shit when we leave home.
Right.
You
Right.
know? So
We do.
I understand that
Flip
shit. We
assholes
do,
theory.
yeah, we do fuck shit to the people at home. So
Yeah.
like I get their anger, I get their position. It's like OJ. I understand, but I don't agree with it.
Right. Yeah.
um,
I love it.
it's just like that. So like
Yeah.
I don't know if this was the same day or another day, but I had another situation like that with an Indian guy. So I'm on the train. We're going into watch. And there's an Indian guy sitting across from me, and we're sitting in the single seats by the exit doors. And then like three hood motherfuckers got on, and one of them was like super big. Like I'm big, this dude's way bigger than me, weight wise.
Mhm.
In dingy white sweats. I was like,
Mhm.
nigga, you're not supposed to be wearing white. With a tray full of like a styrofoam tray full of food.
In the
So
bus?
yeah, like they got on the train, but he wasn't eating. He closed it up.
Oh, okay.
But he gets on, and then he sees the Indian guy sitting across from me. You ain't got no bomb in
Mhm.
that backpack, do you, homie?
Oh man.
And the Indian dude looked at him like, man, leave me alone. Like, you can't say shit because you're on a train with nothing but black people at this point. And the three dudes who just got on are clearly, thuggish,
Agitated.
or at least they're pretending to be thuggish because they know you don't got no leverage. So it's like one of the
Right.
So we go and I actually contemplated jumping in. Like, if it gets physical, I'm gonna have to protect homie because this shit just totally goes against my code of ethics. Because you're just fucking with her for no reason. So the dude asked me, like, he's trying to get to somewhere. So I'm like, oh yeah, you go 2 more stops, I'll let you know when, and then go downstairs and get on the train going this way, right? The dude hopped back in my conversation and started talking to the dude, and the dude gave him some pushback. So then he started like threatening, like, man, I beat your ass. You don't even know X, Y, Z. Da, 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 da. And then we get off at the stop, which is where the dude is getting off at too. You know what I'm saying? So they all get off together, but I told him, like, look, just go downstairs, take the elevator instead, because you'll land right on the platform. The dudes went down the steps, he went down the elevator, and he was, as far as I know, he was safe. But like, it was like a bunch of bullshit like that going on. I'm like, if I see that shit, I look at it like domestic abuse. If I see that shit happening, I kind of got to get involved. I can't just stand there and do absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least take that shit somewhere else out of my view. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she want to stay with you or whatever and take the abuse, then take that in your house and go do it. But if you do it out here in the streets, then I can't just let that go
Turn
by.
a blind eye. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are my 2 incidences that I've seen with that, and I can imagine people getting more of that shit, at airports and everything else, So
yeah, that's tough, man.
But it was like, it was the one time in my life where white people weren't afraid of me for like months.
Right.
It's like, oh, you're not Muslim, cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't really have no problem with anything.
Yeah. That's nuts,
And
man.
then I actually had an old white lady who was in my painting class was like, yeah, they should just kick them all out of the country. And my teacher, who's a black dude who was old enough to go to the Korean War, was like, kick who out of the country?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you say your racist statement. Like, say what you really mean. You know what I'm saying? Because she's probably older than him, so he knows where she comes from. You know what I'm saying? Because he's an older guy too. And so it was just a weird time because I'm in this painting class with a bunch of old white women that all have like these racist views, and then I got a schizophrenic, or not a schizophrenic, but a manic depressive Asian woman from who was in the internment camps as a baby
Damn.
in San Francisco, also in that class, who usually paints with them, but when all this shit started happening, she had some outbursts, and then she started talking to me after that. I was like, yeah, them bitches crazy. And she's like, yeah, but my brother was down with the Black Panthers and all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So she was a really cool fucking lady.
Yeah.
But it was just like a weird time politically because white people felt suppressed for saying shit that they thought was valid,
And
and
valid and
and then
justified.
the original people were like, no, that's racist, and you can't get me on that boat with you. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like that weird toss up. You know what I'm saying? So like, um, it's just weird. So I'm like, how do you honor or remember 9/11 when a lot of racism kind of spawned from it, a 20-year war spawned for it that just so happened to end 20 years later? Like, that's too coincidental. 20 years later, almost to the day of the event.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If
Yeah.
that don't spell conspiracy, I don't know what the fuck does, man. I don't know what the fuck does.
Oh, God damn it, A. Jones.
Uh,
I mean,
well,
I don't put on my tinfoil hat often, but when I do,
uh-huh.
that's all I'm saying. When I do, I'm right.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
right.
Do
You
the
know,
gangsta lean, son. Do the gangsta lean.
it's more of this 100-degree water.
Right. Well, I mean, that should pretty much cover it for 9/11, right?
That's our 9/11 tribute.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean, I feel like um, that 9/11 spawning all this hate and now people wanting to, uh, celebrate it as a moment where Americans came together, right? And it's like, yeah, but I mean, we only came together for how long? You know?
Like a
Right.
quick nut, and that's it.
Yeah, like the good times didn't last really, really long after that. And one of the
Oh,
things,
side note, we didn't even do the fucking first responders right.
no,
Yeah.
no, we didn't.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Yeah,
You're
Like,
absolutely right,
yo,
man.
let's come together. Remember this, all this unison shit, and the dudes who ran into the fucking fire, and I'll say this is the shit that probably gets me fired up the most. I even got chill bumps right now. The
Right.
motherfuckers who ran into the fire to save people's lives that were probably never gonna get saved, right?
Right.
But
yeah,
they did it anyway. The
Man,
guys who survived, we
respect,
said,
bro.
fuck,
Yeah. I got
we
nothing
didn't
but
yeah,
give
respect for those
we didn't
people.
give their family shit. We should have, like, whatever their needs were, they should have gotten handled.
Yeah.
Period. Every medical need they got, they should have just been put on a fucking plan, like the fucking senators or the military or whatever the fuck they got out there. Just put them on it and make sure that they're fucking okay and taken care of until they're dead.
yeah. I
Period.
mean, what was it? John Stewart had a battle, like,
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
John's my man. Like that
That,
was a very, very fucking worthy cause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
he didn't get it done until like 2018, like a whole 17 years after the incident.
And a lot of that pod of people is probably dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and we're not even talking about millions of fucking people. Like how many firemen and policemen were in that area at that time that helped out? Like we're
yeah,
talking about a couple of thousand people. You can't like help out a couple of thousand people and get them right
yeah.
on
No,
Yep.
GP.
it's true.
Like that was total bullshit.
It is. Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. It is all. It's this fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
like
about to get emotional on this shit.
you notice that no one really like talks about Vietnam, right? Like
Right.
it's like that. Same thing with the Korean War. Like, how many Korean War veterans do you know besides, did we know besides Bob?
I knew two, my teacher and Bob.
Yeah, that's it,
I
right?
knew one. He was a custodian in my school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There weren't a whole lot of, Korean War veterans. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, all the Vietnam veterans, you usually had to like ask because they didn't want to talk about it, really, right? Like,
Yeah.
There's a Vietnam veteran that works that's at my job, that works at my job.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, Bob.
I asked him what he thought about what was going on in Afghanistan, and he's like, "Listen, we gave them how much money, we gave them how much equipment, and we gave them how much training, and they didn't even bother to like defend themselves. Fuck them."
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
some a bunch of other shit happened in Afghanistan during that time. After 9/11 happened, and the quote unquote American occupation of Afghanistan happened. I mean,
yeah,
a bunch of shit happened. A bunch of shit got fucked up by a handful of assholes.
yeah,
you know and the reason why we essentially just went back around and looped back to the starting point is because of those handful of assholes. you know so like it's the
So are you saying the war hopped into turnstile?
yes, absolutely.
And
That's
and
exactly
this
oh
is
man,
why the movie Tenet is so important.
right.
right.
You know what? I'm gonna watch that shit again
Oh man,
just because you
It's
brought it
worth
up.
it. It's worth it every time I watch it. Every
Yeah.
single. No, I only have one other thing to figure out, and that's how Twilight came from the future. That's it.
uh,
I gotta figure out that to make it make sense,
right. How did
and then
Twilight come back from the future? Yeah,
and and then I'm done. You know what I'm
right.
saying? I'm,
all
like,
right, let's watch the
I
shit and
would have
figure it out.
solved all my puzzles resulting from this movie.
Yeah, let's watch the shit and figure it out. I'm gonna do it with you.
I
I got your back. Hey, Jones.
got you. Uh, yeah. So like, yeah, it's a weird holiday to
Yeah,
it's a weird remembrance because of all the bullshit that
all the
came
bullshit. Yeah.
So it's hard to like have this governmental thing, but it also feels like there should be. You know what I'm saying?
Like I think that if 9/11 is gonna be some kind of like a federal day of remembrance, right? Where we get it off anyway, like, oh, it's a holiday. No. Like a day of remembrance is to like, if you try to make the day a reason to invite your neighbors over, and break bread with them and just get to fucking know them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Keep your eye on them to make sure they're not terrorists, or
yeah, exactly.
There are two kinds.
On you, white boy.
There are two kinds.
On you, white boy. I know about the insurrection January 6th. I know what you up to, getting all them firearms and shit.
There. Apparently, there are two people in the world. No, two kinds of people in the world.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to make sure all them white people aren't going to go terrorist on us, because I mean they're the next ones that are going to take over. They're the next ones, they're the next ones that are going to invade the United States.
They're planning another fucking rally on the 28th, I think.
Of course they are.
Oh,
of course they are.
Why are they going to try and install Donald Trump as president?
I don't know. I saw a few things the last few days that said that they were planning another rally on the 28th, and that the Capitol Police, are trying to figure out how to beef up things. But so far,
call in the National Guard like they did on all those Black Lives Matter people.
No. I have an easier one. If they cross a certain, you put out a line, they cross it, you shoot them. Call it a day.
All this to install Trump, huh?
Well, you can't do that because I bet you during
you can. They did it to a crazy black woman with her kid in the car, and she drove the car out to pilot. Yes, and they
Well, that's the reason why.
No, so I'm saying you can't draw a line in the sand and say if anybody crosses it, we're going to perceive you as a threat and light you up. If you go to the White House and you get across them gates and start running on that lawn, they're going to light you up.
Well, the problem is that this second rally, I bet you anything, this time they're going to fucking actually bring firearms with them.
That's cool. Call it, man. Let it happen.
Well, how's this for a fucking segue? Ivermectin is just Tide Pods for Trumpers.
That's the title of the episode.
Oh, man.
If you came up with that right now, that is the title of the episode.
Oh, man. Now, the first thing I'm going to discuss is Joe Rogan, right? So he got ivermectin prescribed to him by an actual doctor. So it was the human ivermectin, not the horse dewormer ivermectin, which is obviously the same shit, but just a higher potency.
Okay.
That was my question. Was like, so how is it different?
However, the other dumb motherfuckers that can't afford Joe Rogan's, medical bill. Yeah. Can't afford his doctor and all those prescriptions, the kitchen sink that he threw at himself, right? Those people are getting the veterinary
version.
Yeah.
I love that. And the kitchen sink that he threw at himself. That's a good one. I like that.
It is, yeah. Well, he said it himself. I threw the kitchen sink at this, man. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you can afford to fucking throw the kitchen sink at it, man.
Right. Well, it's kind of like, when Trump got COVID, right? And he was saying like, you shouldn't be scared of this. It's okay. I'm okay. Well, of course you're fucking okay. You got the best medical care in the fucking world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're not going to let you die. You're the fucking president of the United States, you fucking idiot.
Right.
Man.
Not to mention, if his fucking doctors let him die, wouldn't that be a violation of the Hippocratic Oath? You know what I mean?
I mean, that'll come up.
Yeah.
There would be an investigation for sure.
Right. And so it's like, of course you're not, of course you're going to say that because you have the best medical care, but not like the common folk don't have that. The the bitter bucolic don't have that. We don't fucking have that.
You know what's free? You know what's free?
What?
The vaccine.
Vaccine?
That's right. Yeah. You know what's not free?
Hospitalizations.
The ICU. That's right. That's 17,000,
Yeah.
dude.
Like you know what's
Yo,
not free?
it's approaching 18 grand, right? It's
Yeah.
18 grand if you come down with COVID and you end up in the ICU. It's 18,000. The
Uh,
vaccine is fucking free.
The vaccine is free, but the ambulance ride to the hospital costs a lot of money. The
Yeah,
ICU costs a lot of money. The
yeah.
the fucking your funeral costs a lot of money.
If you don't die, that tube they shove down your throat, that's expensive too.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
dude.
mean, they're shoving a plastic tube that probably cost them $100, and they're just gonna throw away. They're not gonna let you
Bro,
keep that as a souvenir.
right. If you think about how an anesthesiologist essentially makes $100 by pressing a button, you know,
I
pressing a
think he,
button,
I think it does a little
right?
more than that, but yes.
Right. Well, right. But he makes $100 pressing that button. How much do you think it's gonna cost when they fucking intubate you?
Right? Oh man, dude, I know, right? I mean, the $100 is just him the button pressing, right? You're
Right.
not even talking about the other hundreds of dollars of him, like,
Preparing the shit,
yeah,
measuring
preparing,
the shit.
yeah, everything to press that button for
Yep.
$100. Yeah,
Yeah.
but to intubate you, man, that's got to be a fucking G, dude. I mean,
Right. That's a
yeah,
stack.
because I mean, they got to put you
It's
under.
racks.
They got to put you under because it'll activate your gag reflex. So they got to put you under and get you
Hmm.
relaxed so they can shove that thing down. So that thing can deep throat you.
Yep.
Deep throat some oxygen, right?
Right. Exactly. Well, so here's the thing. So this is another segue. It's perfect actually. So, you know, as we've discussed in the previous episode, I was hospitalized a few weeks after COVID for having a low hemoglobin count.
We're just gonna skip over that ivermectin
Oh, I'm sorry.
sterilizes men.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I forgot about that. I'm sorry. I'm a little baked. Actually, I'm a lot
Oh
baked.
man. But Joe Rogan tried to say that what really got him was the fact that he was drinking, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. It was the fact
Drinking
that
what?
he was probably drinking whiskey,
He's saying,
Oh,
bourbon.
wine.
so he's saying whiskey saved his life.
Huh?
He's saying
No,
whiskey.
no, he's saying whiskeys would probably let the virus get him because his immune system was down. He was tired. Like he came up with all of these excuses, other than I maybe shouldn't have been hanging out with all of these fucking people without
In
knowing if any of
Florida
them were in
without
Yeah,
fucking
masks.
Florida. Yeah, because he was playing pool like all night, and I'm
he
like,
hung out. He hung out in the hot zone unprotected.
yes,
He picked
pretty
up a
much.
prostitute and banged her without a condom.
What's
No, he didn't. We should
Ate
get
her
sued for
pussy
that.
from the back and
Get
licked her
sued for that.
butthole.
Are you trying to get sued?
what's the proverb?
Allegedly.
What's the idiom? Play with.
Allegedly.
Yeah, no, he didn't just play with matches. He fucking doused the whole thing with gasoline.
Right, yeah, and then he threw the kitchen sink at himself.
Oh my god.
Like, I'm okay now.
Yeah,
Of course you're okay now.
oh,
You know.
absolutely. Yeah, because you can afford that care.
Yeah.
Those monoclonials,
Hmm.
antibodies, those monoclonal antibodies, right? That's what they call them.
Okay.
He can afford that shit.
Yeah.
$100 million to Spotify. Fuck yeah.
Yep.
People like the average person, man. We're gonna have to think about whether we want to like actually pay for the monoclonal, antibodies, or if you just want to, get this ivermectin.
Bruh, it's not just 100,000 from, it's not just the 100 million from Spotify. He's
Yeah.
still getting money from YouTube.
Oh, that's true.
Man,
Oh
somebody
man.
somebody needs to activate Allen Iverson for ivermectin advertisements. It'd be like, it's the answer.
Yep.
You know
There
what I'm
you go.
saying?
You got a question? Here's the answer. Like his
Well,
yeah,
if you know
his
if
first
you know
his first.
basketball, you totally got that joke.
Yep, absolutely. And I know basketball.
Nah, but yeah, so it's weird because like one of my internet buddies, she was going off on a tirade and saying, like basically claiming conspiracy because the news media is not talking about that there's human and animal versions of ivermectin. But I'm like, that's because the dumbasses who took it and OD'd on it took the fucking horse
Right.
deworm, the horse version.
Hmm.
And then Joe Rogan took the human version, but you can't you know, because it's like, why can't you use this to treat and prevent COVID? I'm like, because you probably can't be like, we can't all go on fucking ivermectin.
Yeah.
So
We can't
here's my
all be, we can't all take it, and we can't all take it forever. You know, because the virus is going to be here with us forever. So like, do we just take this pill every day, you know, for the rest of our lives, or
Mhm.
do we only take it once we get sick and diagnosed and test positive?
and
But
just risk dying, right? Because
yeah,
there's no guarantee that the ivermectin is going to work anyway.
she claims that there are
just like the
studies
vaccine.
that prove that it has some kind of effect, and that Brazil was testing it and shit like this. I didn't verify those things, so I cannot, you know, I can't source them, so I didn't verify them. So I'm just gonna call them bullshit until I see proof.
Yeah,
But I'm like, even if it did have some kind of impact, right? It could have long-term use can have negative impact on your body. Two,
yeah,
you could be catching COVID once a year. You know what I'm
yeah,
Right.
saying? Because
Well,
your antibodies that you create don't last forever.
yeah,
So you could re-catch COVID over and over again. And so it's like, okay, prevent it by taking this pill for the rest of your life or until COVID is out of our environment.
right.
Or two, get infected, infect some other people, finally go to the doctor, and then pop this ivermectin for who knows how long
Yeah.
until you feel
yeah.
better. Like, that's not a solution. What we're trying to do is stop the spread and stop the deaths. So if
Well,
Right.
everybody was fucking vaccinated, anybody who got COVID would not necessarily die. The hospitals would be empty. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like,
Well,
you know,
here's okay.
it wouldn't stop the spread, but it would stop the deaths, and the the hospitalizations would decrease, like it happened in some European country where they got like 100% vaccination rate, and all of a sudden, like, their death toll dropped. Their hospitals are now at regular capacity. You know,
with
and then
regular
basically,
shit.
yeah. So like everything, and you know, and they still have like some social distancing policies, but for the most part, the virus is completely under control in that
What's the
nation.
country?
I forgot, like Switzerland or Greenland or one of those
Probably
lands.
Norway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Norway,
Norway,
something
right?
like that. Yeah,
Well,
one of
okay.
those.
So Hate Jones raised a very interesting and important point a few minutes ago when when he said, "Well, if if we don't know what the efficacy is of of this ivermectin, why the fuck are we taking it?" Now, I raised that point because Joe Rogan's got a huge audience,
Yeah,
right? And so, um, let's say, for example, you, homeboy, get infected and you take ivermectin, right?
yeah,
And it works for you, just like it did for Joe Rogan,
yeah,
right? Now,
Wink, wink.
right. if if Hey Jones and I come to you and you told us that, right? I can't speak for Hey Jones, but for me, what I would do is I would read up on this motherfucker to see what's in it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, what's he gonna do to me?
yeah,
And I understand that like COVID's a new novel thing, right? And there's the argument that, well, we didn't know shit about the vaccine either, right?
yeah,
But
Well,
it's
that's the hypocrisy. That's the fucking hypocrisy.
right,
You're taking two medications for the, like, one medication was made to fuck with the problem that we're having. The
right,
other one was not. They're
right,
both made by the same people, the medical industry.
right. Well,
They're both validated by the same people, the FDA. But you want to trust one over the other, and nobody's giving me a good reason why.
well, here's the point that I'm trying to make, and it goes with that. It piggybacks with that. Um, the fact that Joe Rogan has a huge audience, and like we discussed in the previous episode, I forget which one it is, but a lot of a lot of his listeners, a lot of his followers, a lot of his fans take his word as gospel. So they hear Joe
Exactly.
Rogan, I'm
yeah,
taking ivermectin for this shit. Well, fuck, I'm gonna, I trust him. I'm gonna go take it too.
yeah,
And I think that's what's pernicious about this whole thing is that like it may have worked well for you, right? But
yeah,
you know, your circumstances are different from everybody else,
And
Yeah.
two,
for most of the people. You know what I mean? And so
he doesn't even know because he threw the kitchen sink at it, so he don't know which thing.
exactly,
Yeah. It could have been the monoclonal antibodies. It could have been Allen Ivermectin. You
It's like
know, it could have been.
it's
it
like
could have been the answer.
10 motherfuckers butt raped Joe and one busted a nut in him. But which one did it? We don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
He
do some
took
test.
he took hydroxy. He also took hydroxychloroquine, right? I'm pretty sure he took remdesivir. Like, I mean, when he said he threw the kitchen sink at it, he threw the kitchen sink at it, and it's like, how do you know it was ivermectin that fucking worked? I mean, you threw everything at it on the same day. There is no one.
Did he
I'm
throw some
surprised.
sunlight on it too?
Somewhat?
Some sunlight and some bleach.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. Well, not the bleach, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he did the whole butthole to the sun thing. We're getting sued.
Look, I'm surprised. I'm genuinely surprised that he didn't turn Super Saiyan.
Right?
Maybe because he doesn't have hair. I don't. Maybe hair has something to do with it. I don't know.
Right?
But yeah, it's just I think it's dangerous. You know.
Yeah.
Because
he also
like we
said that he took he had a vitamin drip done, right? Like, who the fuck else can afford to have a vitamin drip done?
right.
You know. Plus, what else is he on? Right? Like, he's got testosterone treatments that he's on. You know, like, there's a whole bunch of shit that is unique to his physiology.
Right. Exactly.
That could yeah.
The
Oh,
supplements.
he takes HGH?
Yeah.
Oh shit. That explains so much more.
But I mean, you know, and that's the whole thing. Like, the point I'm trying to make is that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, and
It's,
I'm sure there's no malice
no.
in it. I mean, I'm sure, you know, his him saying I took ivermectin was completely benign. You know,
Yeah.
but the thing is, like, like we mentioned before, what was it? The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so, like, his intentions might have been good, but like there needs to be a, you know, think about this a little bit more. You know, that's the point I'm
Yeah.
trying to with ivermectin.
Yeah. And the fact, and just to segue, right, to what you were going to talk about, right? Like, he had to take HGH, and you thought that you had low testosterone after you had recovered, from COVID. You didn't cover 100%.
Right. Exactly. Well, see, so what had happened was, the reason I got my blood tested is because I wanted to, I wanted to see what my levels were, and and if they were low, then okay, let's get medically supervised TRT. And so when I got the results back, my testosterone levels were actually in the normal range, which surprised the shit out of me. So looking down on the results, the numbers, like I said before, like, it said it was low, numbers were low, but I didn't know what any of that meant. I didn't know how medically significant those figures were to me. So I didn't know any better. But when I got the results, the doctor who reviewed my results said, sorry, we can't treat you, or we can't continue on with this. You have to go get seen by your primary first because your hemoglobin is low. So I said, all right. I mustered the strength to get up, and I fucking Ubered because I couldn't drive. I Ubered to the place to get my or to go see my primary. Luckily, I was able to get an appointment that same day, and he looked at my results and he said, I need you to go to the ER right now because you need blood. You need a transfusion. So got a transfusion and all that stuff. Now, at first, I thought it was just post-COVID POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. My blood wasn't pumping effectively through my system, and the doctors all said, it might be because you have a rectal bleed, etc. So, you try to schedule a rectal bleed.
Blood in your booty?
Basically, I'm bleeding out of my ass when I poop.
Ooh.
And they said,
bloody bum.
let's get checked out.
A bloody bum.
Bloody bum. So, incidentally, just on side comment, did you know that tears aren't the best lube for anal. It's blood. But and there's half a dick joke. But but anyway, so yeah, like I thought it was that. I thought it was POTS. Doctors thought it was like a rectal bleed, and I got scheduled for a colonoscopy that I missed because I had to go do a road trip. But in any case, I thought I thought it was that. But now after I read upon it some more and I looked at a few other things, it might be like the symptoms that was presenting in me was because of COVID. I have a pre-existing condition. I have thalassemia. My red blood cells are abnormal as it was. So, according to a few of these articles and things that I read, for severe infections, for severe cases, what usually presents is low hemoglobin, low immunoglobulin, and hypoxia, which were my fucking symptoms. So yeah, like I think that this whole thing was completely COVID related. And when I was talking to Homeboy yesterday, we pretty much agreed that holy shit, my infection was severe.
Yeah.
And I told my wife about it and it was like, and she said, well, you were fucking miserable. Like
Yeah.
for me to feel like my entire body is on fire, like I'm an exposed nerve. Yeah, makes sense that it was pretty fucking severe.
Yeah.
So I seriously, I was, my mother-in-law, who's a nurse, said, yeah, you should go because you're either gonna have a heart attack or stroke.
Right.
So get your ass in there now. So yeah, that's my my hemoglobin rant.
Yeah,
Well,
well, it's like I said before, like this virus likes to hang out in blood-rich areas, and somehow, it reduces your oxygen levels. Aside from just attacking your lungs, right, and just completely destroying them, it also reduces your oxygen levels among, other parts of your body. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
weird. It's a crazy ass virus, man.
Yeah, it does a bunch of shit, and that's the part that I don't think these people who don't want to get vaccinated understand is like you can lose your taste permanently or have it fucked off.
That's the brain damage.
It could overcomplicate your already complicated medical status.
Yeah.
You would hate to catch COVID and then go home and give it to your grandma and then she dies, or give it to another loved one and then die. And even though the vaccine doesn't stop transmission, although they say it may limit it, it would limit the effects of COVID to some degree. So if it can limit your ability to be hospitalized. It can limit your ability to actually die.
Well, think about it this way. Think about it this way, right? Like in the future, if if you've had COVID, there's a good chance that your health insurance rates could go up.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's ever thought about that, right? No one's ever thought about that. Like, your health insurance rates could go like, oh, you had COVID? Oh, we're gonna have to treat you something different. So guess what? Your insurance rates are gonna go up, or we're gonna have to pay you because we're gonna have to treat you something special. That kind of a thing. No one's ever thought about it. Like that could happen. Maybe they may not insure you because you have had COVID. Like you never know. You just don't know.
Yeah. What's interesting is when I told Homeboy that I lost I couldn't smell. I didn't lose my taste, but I felt like shit. We were talking about, like, I was keeping him updated with what's going on with me. In one of our conversations, he said something. It had something to do with blood.
Yeah.
He had mentioned something about internal organs and blood. And I'm like, when I look back, as we're having this conversation now, it's like it's Homeboy Damas. Like it wasn't that far off, really.
Correction. It's Homie Damas.
Homie, there you go. Homie Damas. I stand corrected. Homie Damas. So it's like it's crazy, right? Like all this shit happened that seemed to be unrelated, is fucking related.
Yeah.
You know, like, I could have been a negative outcome.
Yeah, exactly. You could have had a negative outcome, like stroked out. When they said you could have stroked out, I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
fucking
crazy, dude.
crazy, man. That's crazy.
But I was released from the hospital the next day. I was kept overnight. Did my transfusion. You know, and I got another blood test a week later, and my hemoglobin was fine. Like,
Right.
my iron is still low because of my thalassemia, but that's expected.
Yeah.
But my hemoglobin was fine, and I'm cool now. I'm good. You know,
Right.
so um, I I'm heavily leaning towards this is COVID related. This is another complication that needs to be investigated because
Yeah.
this was a medically significant anecdote, for me, and I'm sure it's
Yeah.
happened a lot because
Yeah.
people are writing about it.
Yeah.
It didn't just happen to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's happened to other people, and I think enough people have experienced that it needs to be investigated. It
Yeah.
needs to be looked on. You know what I mean? It needs to be
Yeah.
studied. So, it's insane. Like Kate Jones said, these are the things that people don't think about and they don't understand. With this objection to the vaccine. It's like, it's not what you see on TV or what they say in the media isn't the only thing that's happening. There's a
Yeah.
whole slew of other shit that happens during and after. This
Yeah.
is why this is so
And the
novel.
only thing they talk about on the news is how many people survived and how many people died. And
Yeah.
Right.
so, like, the survivor rate is like 1% point 116 something, right? But when you calculate that for the US population, that's around 5 million people. Now,
Yeah.
do we
Right.
want to do absolutely nothing and let your immune system handle it so we can get herd immunity and lose 5 million people in the process?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that's going to flood the medical system. So then we're going to have indirect deaths for people who
We've
can't.
already had them. We've already
I
had
mean,
them.
I know, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's going to compound that number, right?
Some
So, like,
veteran died of gall. Some veteran got, died from because his gallbladder went kaput on him and he couldn't get surgery for it. And then someone just recently had died of a heart attack or a cardiac arrest after having been turned away from 27 hospitals
yeah,
Right.
because they didn't have any beds to put them in.
available.
Right.
So that's the other part. Like, if we don't check this shit soon enough, we're gonna have all these secondary or indirect deaths
Yeah.
because
Hmm.
then
Yeah.
after people have gotten it, we're gonna have a group of people that has these adverse effects from surviving the shit. So
Yeah.
it's
Right.
like, they're not throwing up the numbers of like how many people have gotten away from the virus scot free. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you
Yeah.
got better and you'll have no after effects, nothing
Yeah.
negative. Or
Yeah.
any negative effects that you did have afterwards have worn off.
Well,
You
that
know,
leads
like,
into that
nobody's
leads
tracking all that shit.
well that leads into the reason why the government is feeling like it needs to establish mandates
Yeah.
Hmm.
because motherfuckers are just being stubborn and hard-headed for no goddamn reason other
Yeah.
than because Trump said so.
And,
Right.
and I swear people are acting. It's kind of like it's almost the same bullshit when people say we're losing the freedom of speech, and I'm like, no, the government is not running in your house and shooting you because of what you said on the internet.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
that's stopping your freedom of speech. An
Yeah.
organization just saying, hey, these are our standards and this is what you have to adhere to is something else.
Yeah,
If
that's why
Right.
they have those terms and that's how they have the terms and conditions agreement that you fucking click on that you don't read.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like,
Well.
I talked about earlier, I was talking to an actor who basically doesn't want to get vaccinated, just because he doesn't want to get vaccinated, and he thinks the mandates are causing discrimination against him, and
Yeah.
saying he lost like 2 or 3 jobs because he wasn't vaccinated and wouldn't get vaccinated. And I'm
Right.
like, well, if somebody gets sick, or say you make the principal person sick, say,
No, yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, what if you get sick and then you get other people on set sick? Then
Right.
you're gonna slow down production.
well, that's what I
Right.
told him. I'm like, you could put production to a halt. Like,
Right.
okay, for instance, Twilight, while filming Batman, got sick.
Yeah.
Right. So they probably moved on to other things. But what happens if he had a negative outcome?
Yeah.
Right.
What happens to that Batman movie now?
Yeah.
What happens
Right.
to, like, they just spent like half the budget, so now they just scrapped the whole movie altogether. All the people who are on staff there now don't get paid what they were expected to be paid. What if he through, I don't know how he got it, but say he got it by fucking around offset, right?
Right.
Bringing hoes into the hotel, whatever,
Right.
And he came back and he gave his co-star or the craft services person or anybody else the virus, and they had a negative outcome.
Yeah.
Then that person who has a negative outcome, family might be able to sue the production
Yeah.
for
Right.
not having, keeping shit safe. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So like
I
there's
will tell you.
all these
I'll tell you.
cases that nobody's talking about.
I'll tell you how they get Twilight to, if he died like halfway through the movie, they wouldn't scrap it. You just never see Bruce Wayne after the first half of the movie.
Right. Well, so that's one conundrum, right? Like, the financial monetarily issues. But,
Yeah.
if I
Well,
may.
it's all about that. It's all
Right,
about
right, right. I mean, yeah, like, I believe
like
on some level that.
our production level. We live in a capitalist society, and everything is based on our means of production, and
Right.
production around the globe is low because of the virus and the social distancing that has to take place to make
Oh
sure
yeah,
that you
absolutely.
don't lose everything, right? So right now there's like I'm in the cameras and shit, right? So
Mhm.
there are camera shipments that are late where people can't get new cameras because there's no chips.
Yeah.
It's a
Right.
production.
Cars aren't being made.
Cars aren't being
Right.
made, or they're being made, but they don't have the chips to make them operate
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Well,
there,
yeah.
there's
Well,
backup because
that's
the whole production line because of COVID has been slowed down. So you know,
yeah. I mean, absolutely on a macro level, yes, that is a conundrum. That's what it boils down to. But there's also this ethical question, uh, uh, with not getting vaccinated and herd immunity. It's like you said earlier, 1% of our population is what, roughly 500 million or 5 million, right?
Yeah.
yeah, like 5 minutes,
Yeah. So it's like
What percentage of our population?
like one
1%.
point 1112978 to the.
Oh yeah, that's about 5 million. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Dead.
are we right? So are we willing to, if you're willing to uh, have that many people die just so we could have herd immunity, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
You if you're okay with that, then you should be okay with a fucking vaccine that has a mortality rate or a fatality rate of less than 1%.
yeah.
You
Well,
know what I mean?
that's my
Like,
other thing.
yeah,
It's
and so
like
like on an ethical, from an ethical dimension, it's like, wait a minute, um, you're likely to lose less people with a fucking vaccine that will help prevent this shit from happening to you again, or at least it'll help you from getting the Rona, from transmitting the Rona, and if you do get it, maybe from dying, right?
yeah.
If
So
you're okay with that,
that's
why
the
not
other
just go
thing.
do that?
That's the other thing I'm gonna have to research is like what are the adverse effects to taking ivermectin
Right.
and contrast those against those of vaccines.
You mean besides sterility?
Oh, that's one of them.
Sterility, yeah, and I think it could cause kidney and or liver damage of
Oh
some
yes,
kind.
it's that thing. It's that thing.
Yeah.
Okay, with with the kitchen sink that he threw at himself.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Joe Rogan's liver didn't fail.
Right. I
Oh,
know.
give it time. Give it time. It don't all happen at once.
Right. Yeah.
So sometimes it's a slow road
Yeah,
like an alcoholic doesn't kill his liver in one
right.
drink.
It's
Well,
true.
Take,
you're right.
Yes.
it
You're right.
takes several. It
You're
takes
You're
right.
right.
several. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he might have taken this shit and it's no like it put a chink in the armor, or I don't want to say chink because that's supposed to be a negative
Uh-huh.
thing or whatever, but it puts a crack in the armor, and
Mhm.
then as he does his regular shit, like go out with the boys and drink and sniff cocaine occasionally, that crack
Mhm.
gets bigger and bigger now that it's been there, and never
Right.
gets repaired. You know.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, like I said before, this kind of rhetoric is frightening.
yeah, my
Yeah.
thing is nobody can explain to me why. You know,
Mhm.
so like if it's a vast conspiracy, what's the goal? You know, like
Yeah.
before we hopped on, I saw a post where somebody was going in on Bill Gates, who's a proponent of vaccines and whatnot, saying that we need to depopulate the earth in a TED talk or whatever the fuck, and we can do it through vaccines. I don't watch
Right.
TED talks anymore, but I'm like, I'm sure that's not the total, you know, statement. He's like, hey, we're going to poison the world with vaccines. I
Right.
think
Mhm.
he's talking about we're going to eradicate disease and
Right.
try to eliminate poverty, because when people move up from poverty, they
They have
have
less
less
children.
children.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like there's this disingenuousness when pushing that narrative, because that's not the goal, right? That's
Yeah.
Right.
not the end goal. It's like, hey, we're going to give these vaccines and kill people or make them sterile so they can't have babies, and that'll help depopulate the planet. Like that part is bullshit.
Just
Um,
pull out. Just pull out, and we'll be all right.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? But we already know that poor people have more babies than people
Yeah.
with more resources. Like
Pull
Yeah.
out
that's
game is weak.
like, you know,
I'm just kidding.
unless you're Mormon, um, you know, and living in a rich area, you're not having a lot of babies. You're
I'm
not,
o-
you know,
I'm gonna talk. I got a fucking daycare in my house.
yeah. Well, I mean, did you spawn all of them?
No,
Okay,
but I
that's
love
the
them like
difference.
they're my own.
um, you know, but the vaccines help, because basically when people die in poor-ridden countries that have ailments, they have to replenish that population. So people are having more children because of the survival rate.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
so I'm gonna go for 10 because only two in the long run is gonna survive. So if they
Yeah.
can
Right.
reduce the deaths, then people wouldn't feel the need to have so many children.
And
Yeah.
And so
repopulate. Yeah.
there's all this disingenuousness about a lot of these people on the internet posting memes and making videos about it that are not really talking about the full breadth of what's being said. They're only taking that snippet, and then most
Yeah.
people are not going through and doing the deeper research to find out like what's the full statement and why does he say this shit. They just go like, see, I told you, y'all better not take the vaccine and shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
adversely affecting my community because we are paranoid as fuck
Right.
about the government, you know,
Yeah.
understandably. But then you have to look at the bigger picture. White nations are taking vaccines. Some white
Hmm.
nations have 100% to 90%, 90% to 100% complete vaccination rate.
Yeah.
Thing.
Hmm.
You know, so I'm like, why, you know, like if it was focused or targeted and it was only like here or there, there'll be a problem. It was like if they weren't offering poor neighborhoods the vaccine, then black people be pissed off,
Oh,
you
hell
know.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then the fact that they
It'll be
tried to put us
fucked.
be in front of the line, there's like, oh, what's this? Oh, you're gonna treat me first? I don't
Right.
trust you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a no-win situation with it. Even though like statistically, because like even I was paranoid and I waited until I had to take it. Um, is because it was kind of fresh. It did roll out fast for me. It was new technology and everything else, and I was you know, for the most part completely isolated at home. So I'm like, I don't really go outside, so I'm less at risk than the average person.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I can wait until other people take it, people that I know have taken it. I haven't seen anybody drop dead from it. Okay, I think it's safe. I'll take it and I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not a cure all. So I might have to take another shot next year because there's other
Right.
variants of this virus, and they're going to
Got to
come
get
up with other
boosters.
vaccines that fuck with that shit. So
Yeah.
we'll probably be taking these booster shots for years to come until they get a handle on the shit. Because the opposite is keep your ass in the house, low production rate for the country,
Yep.
money
Hmm.
runs short, food runs
Economy
short,
tanks again. Yep.
We're a
economy tanks
consumerist.
again.
Yeah, we're a
Yeah,
consumerist society. I mean, like
but
we consume
even if
shit.
we weren't, it would still be the same problem. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like if we can't go outside and work amongst each other to produce the things that society needs, then where does that leave all of us?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true. Yeah.
So it's like governments run on people doing work. So why would the government be putting in a vaccine something that would do harm to you to where it would stop you from making money and paying taxes? That doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
that's
You
true.
know?
Right.
And that's
True.
why I can't see this as a conspiracy and my tinfoil hat is not on, unlike those twin towers. Because see, I can draw straight lines about 9/11. I can
Right.
draw
Mhm.
two straight lines even. How about that? But I can't draw
Right.
any straight lines with the vaccine conspiracy because
Yeah.
like there's nothing popping up about it that's
Yeah.
actually valid. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
so
It's nuts, man. It's just
now
this whole
my
fucking thing is nuts.
now, but here's the deal. Like, so the guy I talked about, the actor I talked to, he basically saw this as discrimination.
Right.
Like he's being discriminated against
He's what
for
white
not
people would have said.
capitulating.
He's what white people would have said. Pulled out the black card.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, well, it wasn't back. He's like, I'm being discriminated against because I won't get vaccinated. You know?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's this new form of discrimination where I'm like, no, dude, like there's literally always been vaccination mandates.
Yeah.
Like if your
Right.
kid wants to go to public school, it
Right.
has to take shots. If
Exactly.
if you want to if you
Travel.
want to it
If you wanted to just travel out of the country, you needed to get shots.
if you go to
Mhm.
the wrong places, because he asked me, he's like, well, I've been to Italy and I've been to Brazil, I had to take shots. I'm like, well, you were in a Western state and you were born here, so you've already had the fucking shots. But if you want to
Right.
go to Ghana, you got to get a yellow fever shot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you want to go to Haiti, you got to get a whole bunch of shots to go. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
don't want you bringing nothing in, and we don't want you bringing nothing back. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? If
Exactly.
you go to India, you're probably gonna have to take shots.
I don't know.
Um,
We didn't take shots.
We took malaria pills.
Yeah. Yeah.
no, but the military gave y'all a bunch of shots. Period.
Yeah.
You,
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
you don't know what's in those. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like
they,
one of the first things they do is fucking give you a penicillin shot. They call it
yeah,
the peanut butter shot in your butt.
Yeah.
ooh,
I got 6 shots in the arm and then the peanut butter shot. Yeah.
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 That
So
was
like,
fun.
but
And you know what? Contrary to popular belief, right? Like if you're in the military, you can turn down having to take that vaccine. However, there are consequences for not getting vaccinated. It's called a page 13,
Yep. I was
and
just
you
gonna
get
say page 13.
and you get enough of those. I mean, the Navy will just kick you out for
Yep.
failing to adapt to military life or some other shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah,
as a discipline problem.
okay,
Yep.
yeah. So that's my thing. Like, okay, they're mandating for the military to take it, right? So
To
if
keep your job, yes,
no,
yes.
no, no, no,
If you
but
don't take it, the military is going to be like, fine, bye.
yeah. Now,
Right.
my question is, why would they give a harmful vaccine to the military that does the government's bidding? Right? That would be
Yeah,
dumb.
Right.
That would be
yeah,
It
totally
would
dumb.
be
yes, it
absolutely.
would
So,
be. Yeah,
so like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, all the people who are getting it, the rich people are taking it, not talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
The
yep,
military is about to be forced to take it.
yep.
Why would
All
the
federal workers too,
why
like the
why
IRS, the
yeah
FBI. Yeah,
why would the government put its workers, its defense lines, and everything else, the people who do their bidding,
yeah.
give them something that's harmful for their system?
So that Bill
Yeah.
Gates can track
That
them all.
well, no, no. But I'm saying that doesn't track in sense,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
then the government would be defenseless, and wouldn't
Right.
have minions to do their bidding. So it
right.
doesn't
Right.
make sense that they would be giving something harmful or deadly to
Yo,
those people,
this. Yeah.
Well, that's
This.
which
because well, that's
which
because
is
the
why
government's well, that's because the government's in on the whole Bill Gates conspiracy.
Look. This. Look. This thing is polarizing, and it shouldn't be.
No, it's
no.
true.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, I understand a little pushback at the beginning, but
Uh-huh.
after we got like half, because I think half the nation has been vaccinated. Like once we get to the halfway point and 6 months to a year in with this shit, and
Yeah,
ain't nobody dropping off and turning into zombies, just
yeah.
take the fucking shot and move on.
Look,
Like,
I'll
is
tell you.
that 1 in a million chance that you fucking might get something that gives you like a neurological disorder or some other shit that fucks you up?
I'll
That's
tell you.
You mean
I'll
like
tell. Look,
religion?
yeah, right. I'll tell you exactly when this will turn around. Right, this will turn around when kids start dying from this shit.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, because think about how people got scared of Zika, and it's simply because they're kids were being born without a brain or some shit like that, right?
That
Yeah.
is.
Well,
I
that's
asked
what I
that
said.
question.
The
Go ahead.
the symptoms aren't severe enough and visible enough for people to have panic.
Yeah.
Right.
So like we need the right set of symptoms to scare the shit out of people to be like, oh, I'll take anything you give me to make sure that shit doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But the kids, you're right. When the kids get them, because like right before we started recording, one of my homegirls who's like all into health healing and non-traditional medicine, she hit me up with a picture of her fucking Vax card, and I was like, what made the difference? What changed your mind? She's like, well, my husband works at a school. It was mandated, and kids aren't vaccinated, and so he could basically track that shit home and give it to me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's
And
just
you
like,
know what?
she has a few unique, like she's had a heart surgery. I
Yeah.
forgot what, where like she could have died.
Yeah.
And she went blind because of it. And had to have cornea replacements.
Yeah.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? So like if she gets the shit because she has something blood related, right? She's at risk of a negative outcome.
Yeah.
Same for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So I,
that's the
I don't want booty blood. You know?
right. Well, that's the question I asked someone. I was having a conversation with this person. This was last year when vaccines weren't out yet. It was still being talked about. Fucking Puto in chief was still president,
Yeah.
and this person was a Trump supporter, a Trumper.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Puto
that whole
lover.
exactly a Puto lover. So the question I asked her is, so you think this is a conspiracy, but let's put that away for a minute, right? I asked her, if your life, like if there's a chance that you could get it, or if you get it, right, and you die, yeah, and that if that like does that idea, make you want to get the vaccine or make you want to wear a mask? She said, you know what? If it's my time to die, it's my time to die. So I said, okay, let's flip this around then. If it was one of your children who got it and died, does that idea change your mind? If one of your grandchildren got it and died, does that make you change your mind? And it's one of those tough questions, and it's like the answer was this circular, nonsensical argument,
Yeah.
and it was just, you didn't answer my question.
Right. It's just,
Because
she's just trying to be right at that point rather
right,
than just admit, like, you know what? No, I would not want it to be one
exactly.
of my kids.
And the thing is, like they will try their hardest to backwards rationalize
What I call the what is it,
the
the
hamster wheel.
no, it's the Olympics, the fucking
Mental gymnastics.
mental gymnastics. Yeah.
Yeah,
Olympic
like they,
level
they
mental gymnastics.
they will do an Olympic level mental gymnastics performance just so they confuse you or not answer your question.
Yeah.
And it's like,
They'll dance around it, they'll finger fuck it, but they
yeah,
won't ever
like
directly answer it.
nothing that I heard was even close to a response, or not a response because she did respond, but an answer to my question. Like,
Yeah.
if your grandchildren got it and died, you know, like if that doesn't put fear, or not
That's a
necessarily
simple.
fear,
And the thing is your question is a simple yes or no. Like, there's only
right?
one of two possible outcomes to that question.
Exactly,
You didn't ask for all of that, anything else other than a yes or a no.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
it's crazy because
it's
it's
crazy.
like it's such a big list of denial shit, right? Involving all of this. No, I don't want to social distance. No, I don't want to wear a mask. No, I don't want to take the vaccine.
Hmm.
No, I don't want my kid to wear a mask at school. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right,
it's like any level of control. Because
right.
even the dude that I was debating with, the actor, he was like, stay safe and compliant, man. Bye. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nigga.
The cognitive dissonance.
Yeah,
is
I'm
strong.
like, well, that's the thing. I was like, are these motherfuckers just being contrarians?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Might,
For no
yeah.
fucking reason. Out
No,
of, you know,
it is.
Yeah.
That's what they are doing. They're just being contrarians, just because, they've bought in and they don't want to be wrong.
yeah, because like a cop I know, he was like, man, people out here losing their businesses and their lives. I'm like, they could be losing their life.
Right.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
so,
So like,
right.
like
So
a business can be remade, right? Like I don't
Yeah.
really give a fuck about the economy in the sense of businesses going out of business because
Yeah.
as soon as things bubble back, somebody will come in and
right.
replace.
Yeah.
Yes, business is a risk, and if you're a small business and you don't get bigger, you're bound to get rolled over. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You put yourself at risk by not being bigger. That's just the roll of the dice. But I can't hold up your business and put other people's lives at risk because you want to serve
That's the
families.
point. That is the point of this whole conversation right there. It's like,
Yeah.
look, if you don't value your fucking life, fine. Think about your kids though. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, do
yeah, yeah.
you value your children's lives? Do you value your family's life? Do you value your sister's life, your dad's life, your mom's life? Like, come
And
on.
this is why I
Yeah.
always appreciate a movie that'll kill a kid, especially kill them on screen. I
Mhm.
appreciate because most movies run from that shit.
Yeah.
If you like me have the same belief, watch the series on Netflix called 10 Star.
Yeah.
Uh, it opens with a kid getting murked.
Oh man.
I was
Shit,
like,
man.
as soon as I watched it, I'm like, I'm gonna be up all night.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So, like, Homeboy and I had this discussion, or this was part of a discussion that we had previously. I just don't remember when exactly. But the w- if you want to see a person's mental compass, or not mental, moral compass, right? You look at the way they treat the most vulnerable of us, right?
Yeah.
That sentiment extends to extends to this COVID thing. You know, like this, our children are the most vulnerable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, you not getting a vaccine, or you like being contrarian, whatever your fucking reason is for not getting the vaccine, right?
Yeah.
That 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 is related, or that shows how you're willing to treat the most vulnerable of us. That's scary. That's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I don't want to, I don't want to get too emotional about it, but it's a very, it's an important discussion to have. It's, this should be part of our discourse, and that it shouldn't, like, the conversations that we have now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's fucked up, right? We need to have better conversations about this shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
real, actual discourse. If we're not gonna get anywhere otherwise,
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
I'm just ready for them to just force a mandate on everybody and let the war begin.
Asteroid
Right.
2022.
Yeah. Oh,
Some
um,
say a comet will fall from the sky,
yeah.
followed by meteor showers and tidal waves.
Um, have we had our fill?
We've had our fill.
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to end with two things of note.
Okay.
All
Uh,
right.
Wu-Tang Clan Saga is back on Hulu.
Okay.
Uh,
That's on my queue.
and I've already watched the first 4 episodes. Loving the show. Please watch it. Because Wu-Tang Clan is the um, what's that band that never stops touring? Deadheads.
The
What's
Rolling
what's the,
The
Stones.
Rolling
Oh, the
Stones.
Grateful
no?
Dead.
Great, yeah, they are the Grateful Dead of hip hop.
I like it.
Like
I like it.
like literally, like one year I tried to make it to one of their shows on my birthday, and I listened to my friends and say they always go on late, so I didn't rush. I went late. When I got there, literally they were on their last 3 songs, and
Oh man.
I was like, "Fuck." So then the next year on my birthday, they were doing the 25th anniversary of their first album where they performed the whole album, and
Yeah.
then like that was a part of the thing, and I was like, that's perfect because I want to hear every song front to back all the way through.
Yeah.
That's
So
what's up.
I got tickets. My girl didn't want to go with me because she didn't want to stand up all the time, all day. My other homie, who was a big Wu-Tang guy, he wasn't available. So I ended up going to a show for the first time by myself.
Right.
Um, Happened to go to a venue where I've been before and ran into a Wu-Tang family. So it
Yeah.
was like a
Oh shit.
husband and wife, a daughter and a nephew, all Wu Tanged out. Ended up talking to the wife real quick because I thought MC Light was going to be performing, and then so we started talking, and then she like quickly introduced me to her husband. I was like, I'm not hitting on you. I'm just asking you about the
Right.
show,
Yeah.
which was kind of odd. So I ended up talking to them and everything else. And I told them like, oh, I was here before, and my experiences at a Killer Mike Run the Jewels performance where there's like mosh pits and shit like that and everything else.
Yeah.
So as the show proceeds, mosh pits start to jump off.
Right.
And like what happened in the other show at the it was like three guys with their girlfriends, and we all kind of made a line and made sure that our girls stayed in front of it and people couldn't, like we
Mm-hmm.
basically protected our girls as a unit, right?
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
so this shit pops off, and now here is me and him protecting his daughter and his wife from this giant mosh pit that's happening
Right.
and fights that are breaking out behind us. And he just
Yeah.
looked at me and gave me the look. He's like, thanks, man. And so like we just rocked out during the whole concert, what I'm saying? We were just in the same little area. And then afterwards, they thanked me, said what's up. And I was like, oh, let me get a picture, to commemorate this since I'm not here with people that I love.
Right.
Um, Let me take with you. And then his wife was like, you got Facebook? I was like, yeah. He's like, he got Facebook. Give me your shit. Like she made me make friends with her husband.
Yeah.
which was fucking cool. And so, we've been Facebook buddies and Instagram buddies here and there, but I haven't been able to see him because a virus popped out like the next year. So
Yeah.
I was planning on like, oh, I'll see you at the next Wu-Tang event,
Yeah.
or we'll figure out a way to go, kick in some other capacity. But the virus fucked that all off. And
Yeah.
like literally the other day, he posted that the Wu-Tang shit was out. And I was like, oh man, I got to put this on my list. I'm going to watch this shit tonight. He's like, dude, I was just talking about you to the homies about that night we met. You know what I'm saying? So like
That's
it's a
what's up.
story in both of our heads because like I'm looking at it and I'm like, you had generations, like his high school daughter, his junior high school nephew, his wife, and I think him, and his wife are all around the same age.
Yeah.
But their whole fucking family listens to Wu-Tang. And then
Right.
when I looked
Hell
across the
yeah.
crowd, it was a mix of people and a mix of ages, but they were all Wu-Tang down.
Yeah.
And it was a hell of a good show. Performed
Hell
all
yeah.
their songs, and then they did like 45 minutes to kill the album, and then they did another 45 of each member doing their a medley of their best hits.
God
You know what I'm
damn,
saying?
how long were you there?
Two and a half hours or so.
Shit.
Well,
I
that's
was
just
imagining like 8 hours.
that was just their performance. There were still opening acts and shit that we stood.
Yeah.
So like
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
I got there at
Wu-Tang
8.
Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
I got there at 8. We didn't leave till 11:30.
God
Hell
damn.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what's
so
up.
awesome fucking show. If you get a chance to see Wu-Tang with the whole group, I suggest you go see it. You're gonna meet new friends, and
Yeah.
it'll probably be a life-altering positive event.
Right.
Second, I want to talk about, and I don't know if we want to go in this in depth at another time, but I like to say rest in peace to the actor Michael K. Williams, who
Yeah.
played Omar
Yeah.
on The Wire, who passed away. Um, Dude was a real awesome guy, and I'm sad.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about fentanyl and cocaine the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
he was one of my favorite actors who never got to that upper tier, but I felt
Yeah.
like he
The,
belonged
the
there.
Denzel level.
Yeah.
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 But
Right on.
rest in peace to that dude. He was a good dude.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
rest in
that's
peace.
it.
Hold on, if I may. One last thing. Just a quick shout out to like I said in the last podcast, I've been playing a lot of Division or Division 2 more specifically. Just want to give another shout out to the AIM guys. If you guys like PvP, player versus player footage, content. Check them out on YouTube and Twitch. They stream almost daily. Check out Deadeye Lotus, Cold Boy, Unknown 1Z1, Gage Grizzly, God Deletes, and Wavy. Also, another shout out to this person. He's not AIM, but he's cool as fuck. Kokev, KOKE_EV. He also streams almost daily. Cool dude. Just want to give a shout out to them. You know, I'm a big fan of their content, and they're all like chill, cool guys. Like, they get a lot of hate because they're good, but I mean, that's expected. So anyway, that's it.
All right. Cool beans. Well, thank you for joining us, audience. This is the end of part 2. Stay tuned for part 1.
That's so Chino and Homeboy. Like we're putting out part 2 first.
Right? Exactly.
It's on brand.
Follow us on Twitter.
This show is now called Homeboy and Chino.
Right? Yeah. Back in the turnstile, right?
Yeah. With Hate Jones.
But follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got other videos on there besides this one. So, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and peace out, people.
Yeah. Also, check out Trade Designs if you need any design work.
That's right.
Indeed. Hey, gang.
All right. Till next time, homies.
Peace.
Hey, what's up, homies? You like that shit? Then hit up that like button. Let us know what you think in the comment section. And if you didn't like that shit, then we hope you have a better time fucking yourself. The rest of you homies, go check out another video. Peace.